Hi, everyone. I'm back. How are you doing? I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I had a lovely Christmas with my family, my husband, and my children, and I hope that you did the same with your loved ones. Today, I want to talk about our side mirrors. Do you have a side mirror? When I talk about side mirrors, what I mean is someone who can give you candor, somebody who can be honest with you, someone who can tell you the truth about stuff, someone who can, chide you and say the most uncomfortable things that others would not be, willing to risk saying to you. Because the truth is that we all need side mirrors, and we all have parts of ourselves that we can't see, that the negative aspects of our behavior sometimes we can't see. We all have blind spots in essence, and it is important that we have our side mirrors intact, because sometimes we're not aware of how our behaviors are affecting other people. We're not aware of the things that we say and the way that it affects other people. We're not aware that certain decisions can be horrible for us or others around us. And it is a blessing if you can find somebody who is your side mirror, whether it's your friend or whether it's your spouse. It's such a shame when you see people who have so bullied their side mirrors, or be so destructive of their side mirrors, or so distrusting of their side mirrors, that those side mirrors are no longer functional. You will see people who, maybe couples, for example, where the husband or the wife cannot tell their spouse the truth about stuff. They have difficulty being honest, being candid about stuff. And the worst part of that is that, we end up acting a fool and making a fool of ourselves when we don't allow our side mirrors to tell us the truth. I, I mean, nobody likes, being criticized. Nobody likes being told that we've done something wrong. But it is essential in any relationship for it to function in a healthy manner, for us to be able to talk to one another and say to our partners, I don't think that was a good idea. Maybe you should have handled it in a different way. I have come across a lot of couples where you can see that one person or the other has suffocated the life out of their side mirrors, that they have broken their side mirrors, and their side mirrors no longer provide them with information that is necessary for transformation. One of the people that I absolutely love and respect is Mr. Fowley. I remember him one time saying, that one of the diseases, one of the unfortunate things that happen to us when we become adults is that we usually lose people who can tell us the truth. When you're a child and you're doing something wrong, or when you engage in behavior that is not right, you can have, uncles and aunties and parents say, oh, why did you do that? Don't do it that way. Do it this way. But when we become adults, it's much harder to find people who can say to us, why did you behave that way? Because not everyone is willing to risk, that relationship. Not everyone is willing to risk telling us the truth. Because there's a sense that when we become adults that we know everything. And isn't that really hubris? Isn't that unnecessary pride, foolish pride that comes before a fall? What are you doing to make sure that your side mirror is functional? Are you being open to criticism from your spouse? Are you willing to hear your spouse's point of view on a particular matter? Do you even allow your spouse space to speak to you on certain issues? Or do you think that you have it all well together and that you are so all knowing, just like God, that you don't need any input from your spouse? Because in this particular space, it can be very, very dangerous when you don't utilize your side mirrors. Have you bullied your spouse into a silence that they can tell you the truth and be honest and forthcoming with you? That they can. I remember actually when I just first got married, and I used to go to a student church on campus when I lived in England. And at the student church, you can literally wear anything you want. You can, wear normal pants and spaghetti straps. I was very young. I didn't know, I could just wear wherever I wanted. It wasn't a conservative place or anybody would look at you a certain way. It was really about trying to get in all these young students to come in and really have an encounter with God. It had really nothing to do with what you look like or anything of that sort. So I was really very free in picking my outfits. And I remember when I got married and I moved to the United States with my husband, and we started going to a Nigerian church at the time. And Nigerian churches are very interesting in the sense that they are a lot more conservative in when it comes to dressing styles. And I would just dress the way I used to dress in college, because I got married right after college, and then I moved to the United States. And I would wear my spaghetti straps with long pants, but my arms are all bare; they're showing. And my husband and I, my husband would say, this is the shirt you're wearing. I say, yeah, I wear this shirt all the time. You never complain. What's the problem? And he would say, you can't wear that to church. And I'll say, why not? He would be like, because you're going to church and, people are going to look at you and think there's something wrong with you. And I used to say to him, well, I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, I used to go to church. It's not like this is my first time going to church. And when I was in college and I used to wear the shirt to church, nobody ever said anything to me. Nobody ever made me feel a certain way. So it's not my problem if anyone has, any feelings about my shirt. It's not my problem. And my husband used to say, I know it's not your problem, but you have to understand that there is a difference between a college campus and an African Nigerian church, where there are a lot of mature people that, they're going to look at you as if there's something wrong with you. Like they're going to look at you in a judgmental fashion. They're going to think that you're showing too much flesh. They're going to, I'm telling you the truth. So I didn't listen. The first time I would go, I would always wear whatever I wanted to wear. And I started observing people and the way that they were looking at me. He was right. And I hated to admit that he was right. I hated to admit it, but he was right. And, I decided that, okay, I will wear longer sleeves. I would no longer wear spaghetti straps. Or if I were to wear spaghetti straps, I will put a little jacket on top of it. I have to tell you that this was a very, smoothed out version of how this whole thing took place. But this was how we started our marriage, on just being able to tell each other the truth, even though it's painful. And I felt like he was criticizing me. I felt like he was, making judgments about the way that I looked. And I felt like really he was trying to give underhanded, sort of comments about the way that he thought that I looked. But at the end of the day, he really wasn't. He was just trying to be a good spouse. He was just trying to be an honest person. He's like, nobody is going to tell you these things. They're not going to tell you that you look horrible. They're not going to tell you that, you shouldn't be wearing this thing to church and it makes them feel uncomfortable. They're not going to be honest with you about that. They're just going to be giving you looks. Yeah, you have a right to wear whatever you want to wear. And yes, it is between you and God. But you and I cannot both pretend that people are not going to make certain judgments about you and about the way that you're dressed to church. And when you say that you're a mature Christian, you've known, you've been a Christian for a long time, they're just going to look at you that why is it not reflected in your dressing? Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't wear spaghetti straps to church. I don't care. I really believe that it's really between you and God, however you dress. I felt like it was moderate, but for the type of church that I was going to at the time, I also had to be respectful of just the cultural atmosphere. And so in that kind of situation, it was difficult. It was really difficult to have that conversation. But we all have to take a step back and start to just think, what if? What if they're right? What if they're saying to us is the truth? What if this decision that we're about to make is incorrect? Is it possible for us to let down our prides and be willing to hear and listen? Because in those moments when we're so dismissive of our spouse's ideas, when they're telling us, at least from their perspective, what the truth is, they're giving us, candor, and it might hurt our feelings. It's in those moments that we tell our spouses whether we think that their voices should be heard or not. And if you've broken your side mirror, it's a very sad thing, because others are going to make judgment of you. Others are going to think certain things about the things that you say, whether you like it or not. So my question to you is, do you have a side mirror? Because we all need a side mirror. And what are you doing to continue to cultivate an attitude and atmosphere of honesty, of candor, of truthfulness with your mate, with your friend, with your spouse, about making sure that they're telling you the truth and that you are receptive to their ideas? Because a fool that doesn't know that he or she is a fool will always be a fool. at least if you have some awareness of your ignorance and your blind spots, you can make changes. But once you've determined and decided that you already know it all, then of course you're not going to make changes, and people are going to look at you like you're a fool. They're not going to tell you because they haven't built that kind of relationship with you. But you better believe that you do think that you are a fool, even though you don't think that you're a fool. And that's the really scary part. So anyway, that's me for today. I want to wish you guys a happy new year in advance. I hope that this new year that is coming will be good for all of us. It'll be a time of celebration, jubilation, and testimonies. And I'll be doing more videos next year. And I also hope, if you've been following me for a few years, you would know that every year I do a video about writing your goals and setting your goals. I hope that this year that you have taken the time to sit down to write your goals and set your goals for 2017. And so I will see you in 2017, and I hope that your prayers, your testimonies, your joy shall be full in the next year. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.